Lebza is here.
Soweto?
It is my top 10 at 10. Oh, Tom Soweto.
How you doing, brother?
Which side of Soweto is this?
Central Western Jaba with the center.
Next to Credo Motwane.
Literally right there.
What?
Literally right there. Like, you know when you go to the main gate at Credo Motor Village?
Yeah.
The second house from the main gate.
No
That's where
way.
I grew up. Yeah, I've met Credo a couple of times actually because I used to come there often. So yeah, Credo Motor Village. It used to be called Oppenheimer Tower.
That's right, yes.
Because there's that tower and you get to the top of it and you can see the whole of Soweto.
That's right.
And then now it's called Credo Motor Village. But that's where I grew up.
And then have you ever exchanged the words with a man?
Yeah, I met him. We chat. He was quite deep and
Of
also
course.
and very abstract half the time.
Yeah.
So when you talk
you have
to
to
him,
think, you have to dig in. Yeah.
he was quite an interesting character. Like when you talk to him, you say something and he says something. It feels like he's not saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
But he kind of is, but it's on a very different dimension.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it was kind of he was an interesting character.
No, really is.
Yeah.
Him and then when Kurita, Operation Tech and Quash. Okay, it's fine.
Maritivas, you sound surprised, man. And I've been winning since I began.
Really?
So, I mean, this year was very unique.
Yeah.
Because it was more or less like a clean sweep at the Safters.
Yes.
But I think it's exciting also because, after, like I was saying to somebody, next year, 2025, I'll be 20 years in the game.
Sure.
And 20 years in, your peers, the people that mentored you, the young guys, because the Safters are cool because it's our industry people.
Yes.
And they're saying
That's right.
20 years in,
True,
So
true.
for me, that was the most beautiful thing about it.
And Soraka as well, because Lina just got nominated for the best daytime radio show for the Radio Awards. So
30 years in. Yeah.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
Another nomination.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe this time I'll bring it home. Yeah.
I guess it's a good story.
The very same hand that touched Credo Motwane touches me. The very hand that has more than 15 awards has touched me. But
Salute.
What does it mean? And I like what you said on Soweto Live. You said something about when you get these accomplishments, your head can be in the cloud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we don't do this because of the awards, right? You don't get into film because you want to win an award, right?
Yeah.
Film, if anybody, like all the young filmmakers out there, they know this. You get into film because it's passion, right? You're not guaranteed an income. It's hard work.
That's right.
Most of the time you're not at home. You spend Monday to Saturdays on set.
Yes.
It's usually 12, 13-hour days. So it's a difficult
long,
industry career to choose. Yeah. So if you're not passionate about it, if you don't have this burning desire inside of you to do it, don't do it, right? It's all about content. As keys to my content friends out there and bankers. But this is not your game.
My daughter Palace Askis. He doesn't mean it like that.
I don't mean it like that.
Okay, baby.
But so then what happens is when you start winning, you then almost embrace this sort of competitive energy, right?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you get into it not for the awards, but the moment you win, you switch to it's almost like you're LeBron James now.
Yes.
You're like, I'm the god, I'm the king, right?
Yeah,
You forget the reason why you actually began.
And hence the cloud.
Hence why your head gets into the clouds, right? And so for me, and I've been doing these talks, I'm sure we'll touch on it later, but it's for me to remind young people at the end of the day, is it may seem competitive, but it's not. And don't forget the real essence of why you started, right?
Yeah,
you started because you had this burning desire to tell stories. You started because you had this passion. It's almost like a calling. If anybody has dealt with callings, you can't shake it.
Yes.
You are sleeping, you dream it.
True.
You are doing whatever. You get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And so don't forget that the awards have a way to, the bling has a way to the light.
Yeah.
They have a way to blind you.
Yeah.
And you start forgetting the real reason why you started. And for me, I guess my job now, 20 years in the game, is to remind young filmmakers, don't get your heads in the clouds. Kill the ego before the ego kills you.
Oh my word. And remember, sometimes your sober decision and the ego decision there's a gap there, and your pride can switch. if you don't have any control over it. And some will say that very pride is the very ego you're talking about. And that you need to find a way to basically ground yourself so that you can stay focused. And like, I like what you said. It's like, if you're doing it for hours, forget it. You've lost why you're doing what you need to do. But where does that discipline come from? Is it coming from the people who has mentored you? Where did you see that?
Actually, if I relied on me, I'll be dead. You know, a lot of people that know me, that they know, I can easily, go out the rails. You know, I think I've been blessed to, I always say, people always ask me, what's your best gift? What do you think is your best gift? I think my best gift is that I retain people. And so I've got all my friends are like childhood friends. There's Lily in the studio now who's sitting there.
Lily, you should see him.
I've known this man for 30 years or so plus.
Wow.
And there's my wife who's sitting here.
Hello, Khazi.
Khati. So now in January 9th, we're 10 years married, but we've been together for 23 years.
Wow.
Right. And so I'm surrounded by even my family, my brothers, my community and friends are people that have known me before the lights and the red carpets and the awards, right? And so every time my ego and the pride runs away with me, because it will, and I always say to young people, don't try and find a group of mentors or a group of people that you trust. Ring fence yourself, protect yourself before the glamour, protect yourself before the glory. Like right now, while you're still coming up, put systems in place that will always pull you back. I'm blessed and fortunate enough to have, like I mentioned, these people. And more often than not, I'm the rock star. I won everything there is to win. And then they're the ones that will bring me back. Hey, remember your essence. Remember where you started. Remember why you're doing this. It's about the people. It's about God's calling.
Go ego how he is getting a knock, eh?
Hey, vetu.
Because I get no pela over helium balloon pela.
Yeah, and so for me, it is that. It's like that sort of a circle of friends and family that pull you back. And then next layer is I've got a circle of mentors, right?
Okay.
And not just in film, right? Even in my personal life. And I always say, it's like, you as a filmmaker, you're only as good as you are as good a human being, right? You can't be a dick of a human being.
Yeah.
Hey, am I allowed to swear on this show?
Well, we'll excuse it for now.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't be a horrible human being and expect to be a great filmmaker. It like the two go together, right?
Really?
It's because we are serving people. So if your heart is not for people,
Can you tell that to chefs?
No, chefs don't care.
Sorry, chefs. Sorry.
Chefs don't care. But so now the part of the part of my process is to have mentors. I've got like Pastor Don Motlong, I've got Bishop Mesasono, I've got Pastor Semenya. I've got all those people that when I lose it, they always reel me back. And on a human level, they don't care that I'm like this Debza who's shooting Lebo Barack Obama, Lebo J. Cole, and Yakolis is like, no, you are Tebogo Malope. You are this kid that we raised, and we expect you to uphold certain values. So and that level, at that level, human level.
Yeah.
All right. It's like, then if you take care of the human level, the filmmaking will take care of itself. So I think for me, mentorship is in 3 ways, right? And then the last level is filmmaking mentors, like the Womashatsi, who, I spent many years, may he rest in peace. I sat across him like this for plus 10 years, every day, 9 to 5. And, he wasn't a man of many words, but you just catch his energy, right? And so for me, Tebogo Malope, Angus Gibson, Desiree Machaf, Amanda Lane, Harriet Gafshon in film, Vincent Molloy, Norman Marke, all those guys in film, they were my filmmaking mentors. Yeah. And so for me, I feel like every young filmmaker out there needs to ring fence themselves with a good group of inner circle, friends and family that ground you. Then find mentors in your real personal life so that you don't go off the rails, because then that will help you become a solidified human being. And as a solidified human being, you can then become a great filmmaker. Then find mentors in the film industry that will keep that intact and keep that sharp for you.
Now, one thing that we hardly talk about is that when you are in this pursuit of greatness, it can also be a lonely pursuit. Because, give an example. The very first person who created my piano Can you imagine how lonely that was? It was lonely because they believe it. This is a sound that we should play. But for them to put it out there, it's a vulnerable thing, right? Now it's big, it's huge, right? And so the same applies with you. And that's why I'm saying the pioneers are the people we really need to be celebrating. Pioneering spirit, not pioneering because they're starting something new. The pioneering spirit is, I'm going to go for this thing. Because it is that very spirit that makes them choose the right projects. They didn't know when they chose them, but boom, here it is. I am sure there was a number of things on your table, but you decided to choose the Siyakolisi story. Why?
So the first half of your question is about isolation.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, and especially for filmmakers and storytellers.
Yes.
Because I always say the stories find you. You know, you don't go looking for the stories, they find you.
Okay.
But if if there's too much noise around, you're not quiet enough to listen to that inner voice.
Hey.
An interesting thing here is Jesus Christ, they baptize him. And, and God comes down and he says, this is my son who I'm well, pleased. And then his mission actually starts. What's the first thing that happens when his mission starts? He goes out to go fast and pray by himself.
Yes.
The Holy Spirit sends him away to go be by himself.
Yeah.
Right? It's like every mission needs to start with being isolated, be alone, forget the noise, because once you're alone, you can hear your purpose and your real mission. So for me, it's important that happens.
And with so much noise and distractions.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of the times, God forces it on me, right? He forces it. Noise, wherever I'm at. Right?
Oh,
and then what God does intentionally in my life, he cuts people off. Literally, so that I find moments of isolation. And so for me, isolation is important. So a lot of young filmmakers just
complain now. Isolation ain't.
Aye, man, utlaba sharp.
We say forever plus a day. And we're not
But mastering that stillness and that isolation means then you can hear that inner voice. So when the stories that need to find you, when they come, you will hear it and it will come to you. In fact, an interesting story about Spirit, the first song that you played.
Yes.
I was at gym and I played the song. For the first time, when I listened to it, all the visuals came to me. I knew what the music video is going to look like. And I knew deep down inside I'm going to shoot the music video. A couple of hours later, Nota, okay, he's in jail now. Oh, okay. A couple of hours later, Nota calls me and as I answer the phone, I say, is this about the Spirit music video? He says, yes. I'm like, I'm in. Let's shoot.
Never.
Because I heard it, I knew it, and I knew exactly what it's going to look like. And so I've practiced isolation and listening to that inner voice. And that's why stories come to me.
For 3 seconds. Tula dene for 3 seconds. O tule. Uska say, uska nana anything. Just breathe it in.
For sure.
Get right swara low tone fit.
Get out jail. What's your ball pen? 7, 8.
Tell me about Pro Kid and Soweto.
Yeah, Pro Kid Linda. There's no Tebogo Malope without Linda. Pro Kid.
No way.
Yeah, we were friends. Actually, we all grew up together, Kokasi, and we all went to, I mentioned Bishop Musasona earlier. We all went to Grace Bible Church. And we all met for Sunday school, really.
Pro Kid Sunday school?
Yes, go youth thing at church. Yes, literally. And we are all friends as kids. And myself.
Who else is in the school that we need to know about? Might as well spill the beans now.
And then actually earlier this morning I had a call with Tapelo TTP of Back to the City. He was in the same youth as well. So we're all, they did something good there. There's some magic juice there.
Wow.
And myself, Fumulanum Sandua, who's now a pastor at some church, and Dr. Tabolengana, who's now like a nuclear medical doctor, 2 times PhD, guys. We started a business called Meta Creations. And our idea, we thought we were going to take over the world. I was too young to even sign those CC documents. I think I was 13 or 14. And my mom had to come and sign for me in Pretoria.
Yeah.
Our first client was Pro Kid. right? We believed in him. He was this kick-ass rapper.
Yeah.
He was at John O, and he'd be like, every time after school would go listen to him, just bust rhymes. He dominated John O, then he dominated Gandhi Square, and then then he became our first client. So we then designed his logo, like, you know, that Donkey Sun logo?
Yeah.
We designed that logo, the Pro Kid, the actual Pro Kid, PRO kid, and then him holding a mic.
Yeah.
We designed it, and the idea was, what if we could write your lyrics in Braille? So people that can't even read, they can feel your punchlines, right? So that Pro Kid logo is Braille. The Donkey Sun, we're like, hey man, every time you hit somebody with a punchline, you go Donkey Sun.
Yeah.
We're like, that's your signature. He said, yeah, that's my signature. Okay, make it a signature. So he gave him a piece of a tissue,
And then,
sign it as a signature.
no way.
Then we took that, we scanned it and turned it into a vector, and then Donkey Sun became his thing, right?
Yeah.
And I shot his first music video, right? And so that was the first music video I ever shot, right? And fast forward to later, Skishuta Bo Wale, Bo Burna Boy, Bo P Squared, Bo Two Face, all those people. So for me, Pro Kid is the first guy that saw me as a 13, 14-year-old and said, you got something, let's rock and us. And then we made magic.
It is my top 10 at 10, Car 959. We are Rhythm and Beats, and I'm hanging out with. I want to find a. Do you have an equal in Hollywood? Or do you have a benchmark? Yeah, I think better. Benchmark.
Benchmark. Yo, I think, you know, we have these masters that we look up to, right? So your Spike Lees, your Quentin Tarantinos, your Scorseses, and the likes. So perhaps that's a benchmark.
Yeah.
But the way, I guess, God is making me do it is so different that I don't even know if there's a benchmark out there.
Yeah.
It's so unique. And
Did you see how I struggled with an equal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say multi-award winning director, but it's fine. You haven't said that, and it's been, 35 minutes.
Sorry. Ba Malope re kgopela tshwarelo. This is my top 10 at 10, Car 959 on the street, on the air. I'm with multi-award winning director Tebogo Malope.
Danko.
Oh my God. Yeah. There you go. The Siya Kolisi story, you need to take me there. How do you unpack that? How do you put it together? Because it's like trying to put an autobiography.
Yes.
But in moving pictures.
Yes. I mean, the Siya film is simple and complex.
Yeah.
At the same time, right?
Yeah.
It's simple because it's like, poor kid, World Cup winner.
That's right.
We know, the movie ends with him winning the World Cup, right? It's complex because there's so many dynamics. And the deeper I dug into his story, the more it reflected the story of South Africa. That complexity, that, a flawed past. And then we're trying to make this thing happen. We know we are winners. We know we are champions. But we've got a complicated past, and then we're trying to make it work. Across races, bongamla, bo Kalati, bo Mangmang, lebo bontate ba le ba mo Somali. We're trying to make South Africa work, right? And so the complexity of that story is in that. When you look at his story, what's beautiful for me, what a lot of people don't realize is, and I guess maybe it speaks to the success of the film. People think I've been doing documentaries for a long time, but they don't realize that was my first documentary.
Really?
Yes, that's the first documentary I ever done. And that's why.
Were you trying to challenge yourself here, or?
Yes, actually, I was trying. Vincent Moloi, actually, he went on Twitter and Abua Matlakala Are, yeah, Debs is all that, but unless you tell a documentary, you're not really a filmmaker. On challenge it,
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, get and then I remember when we won the biggest award at Tribeca Film Festival in New York, which is top 3 film festivals in the world. When I won it, I took a picture and I posted it on Twitter. I said, for Vincent Moloi. So it's one of those moments where I feel like a story found me, right? And that's what I was trying to say about, if as filmmakers, if you can kill the noise, the story will come to you.
That's right.
And
I guess that also applies to anyone, right? if you can kill the noise, it will come to you.
100%.
Yeah.
And actually, part of the motivation was many years ago, I think 2007 or 8, just before the World Cup, I got an opportunity to do a show with Johnny Clegg, and
No way.
and I spent a whole year with him, like in a van, and we were driving around the country and just talking to people and whatnot. And it was quite crazy to see the power of Johnny Clegg, right? To unite, to bring people together.
That's
that
right.
man is the only guy that I ever saw where, whether we go KZN in the villages or we in the northern suburbs in Cape Town,
Yeah.
or we at Limpopo,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like everybody loved that man
Yeah.
in equal level, right?
That's right.
And so when the Siya Kolisi story came to me, since Johnny Clegg, the only other person that I saw that had the same effect, doesn't matter where they go, people love him at the same level, black, white, colored, Indian. And I said, you know what, this story came to me because God wants me to tell it. And that's why I took it on.
Is that why you chose Johnny Clegg?
As one of the songs. Yeah, it is. And I think, there's something, the thing is, as a country, and that's why I always say, I don't like to talk politics, but I'm going to maybe like tap dance a little bit on that.
Please.
I always say, like, we are a country that was founded on uniting people, right? That was founded on making race work. That was founded on being an example to the rest of the world.
That's why the preamble to even our constitution, as Tsepo Jean says, we,
yes,
the people.
We the people. And so I see how you did that.
Come on now.
Clever. And so for me, I feel like anybody that comes in and approaches South Africa with that in mind, with that concept in mind, they will succeed, because that's our foundation. That's where we found. That's where we were founded.
Yeah.
That's our founding fathers. That's Tata Mandela and Tate Sisulu. And Tate. That's the foundation, right? So any story that you tell that helps to push that agenda of reconciliation, of making it work together, will win.
Yeah.
But everybody that comes in to separate us, to use race as to bait us, it's not gonna work.
That's right.
In time, because then the foundation is murky.
Yeah.
Our foundation is about that. So any story that helps us to reconcile, that helps us to forgive, that helps us to drop the weight on our shoulders and look forward with a bright future.
That's right.
Those are the stories that are going to win, and they constantly win.
Yeah.
We wonder why the Springboks win, because they push that agenda. They win because they're backed by Moya of our founding fathers.
That's right.
So for me, that's why I think Johnny Clegg and Siya Kolisi are this foundation that reminds us of our essence. In our national anthem, we're talking about that. And unite us as a people. That's who we are as South Africans, and we constantly forget that.
Yeah.
Because people clickbait us, and they want us to be mad. But we need to constantly remind ourselves where the center is, where the source is, and the source is telling those stories. Sabo Siya Kolisi and Johnny Clegg.
What else is? Yeah, there was a round of applause there.
In the studio.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yes. No, yele mara ke utlo ka re mara yo ka re ke ya go kamoreng.
We got 3 babies in, bro. Don't start with me.
Should I buy your TV? I mean, I can assist as uncle, Jump in. Which other story have you told, or you directed, or you are part of, that for you still feels like this is one of my best achievements?
Well, one of the stories is coming out soon, right? In a couple of months. I did a 4-part docu-series for Basketball Africa League. So the NBA launched a new league. The only league outside of America run by the NBA is in Africa.
That's right.
It's called Basketball Africa League.
Yeah.
And I
attended a few games at Dickies, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So I was tasked to tell the story of the formation of it, right? Okay. And so the show, it's executive produced by Barack Obama. J. Cole is in it. My producers did like True Detective and Succession and the Beckham documentaries. So it's like a heavy hitting team.
Yes.
Just my editing department in J. There's 4 Oscars just between my editors. And what that story is now that, because I believe strongly in telling the South African story and what I just mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Now suddenly that story is going beyond the borders of South Africa.
That's right.
Right. So the Basketball Africa League, I went to 12 different African countries and I started telling the African story. So suddenly I'm telling the story of how Africa is one, not just how South Africa is one. Now Africa is one. And hopefully if that goes well enough, then I'll be trusted to tell the story of the world. Yeah. And I think that's the next step.
Jeez. Hemon. I think problem. Guy, what an problem it to guy.
It will make a
house for a credo motagalo.
Mara ke tsere credo, ke tsere Bishop Musa sona. Go re ke concoction.
Hemon. And what is khosa ding? O ka se jure ke sa go CWJ. Did you formalize this thing or is just passion? Or is it just talent?
What thing?
You being in film.
No, I always every time people ask me this film thing, I always say it's a story thing, right? So when I started even before I was 10, I was already doing theater, Neretsa di play, Remimekabo, Gibson Kente, Kaula Koloza and stuff. Yeah. So I was already called into telling stories. So I knew that from the onset. But when I was in grade 10, I had a chance encounter where I met Spike Lee. And he was here in South Africa shooting as a documentary. Yeah. And that's the first seeds of me being a filmmaker. That's when they started, right? Okay. And then eventually, fast forward, I decided, let me go to film school. But I was so poor, I couldn't afford the second O. So I got poor.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But somehow,
because you have to have a little bit something in your stomach to pronounce poor.
Poor. The second
so you're
O.
So poor.
You can't.
You just say I'm poor.
I'm poor.
That's right.
I was poor. And by a chance encounter.
But anyway.
A chance encounter with Harriet Gershon of Quizzical Pictures. At the time, it was called Curious Pictures. Nebayetsabo Cha-Cha and those shows. Yeah. The chance encounter with her, Kamukopaga Asom, Belief, whatever. Nekere no mayin, back then, no mayin. Yeah. And then she gave me an opportunity to jump on set, and it was Hard Copy 1, Season 1 in 2005. And that's when I walked on set as a cable basher. Get clean the cable, get my box, get the camera people, the coffee, the tea. And 20 years later, I'm here. So if you had to say that I
love that so much. I love that so much because anyone who has ended up being at the apex of their career, right, had to start somewhere. And we're not saying that should be the route for everybody. No. However, for those who have seen it from that, like you said, from, just folding and cleaning cables and seeing the value chain, all of it, now are grounded enough to know how this machine works. And should anything break, they are able to get their, hands dirty to fix whatever it is, or at least see a loophole. And that's such a powerful thing. People always want to see the glam of it, and not the flip side of it, or the hard work that comes with it. And I think that's why you do your talks, right?
Yes, lessons from bombing. I call it lessons from bombing.
There's a bit of a twist there. Creative you.
I get a pro kid double entrande. Hi. I think that's the right word. Double entrande.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bombing because when I started in commercials, I was at BOM. Yeah. And I learned a lot of my biggest lessons at BOM. Yeah. But also bombing because of the failures and the mistakes I made. Yeah. Lessons from bombing, and it's coming. We've got another one this Saturday at AA2 in Mofola. Yeah.
I need those 6 lessons still?
We're going to keep it at 6. I don't even know why I said 6.
I'm with Tebogo Malope, and tomorrow he's at AA2 lessons from bombing, right?
Yes.
You say 6, first one?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what the order of those lessons are, but
doesn't matter. Bring it.
There's one called Kill the Ego Before It Kills You. And I think I touched on it a little bit earlier.
Number 2?
I think more because thinking is writing. I used to be a quick to write. I was one of the writers on Scheme Sam, on Tempe Pushers, and we got into this sort of habit of writing quick. I need to write the episode, 3 days without even thinking. So Kayaba to like 60 pages because you have to deliver. And then when I got to commercials, actually Tebogo Malope is the one that taught me this. Yeah. It's like don't rush to finish the script. First think about what you're writing. I would rather you think more and then write, you know. And
because
so,
then you just pour out.
because thinking is writing, you know.
That's right.
And then the last lesson, which I think a lot of people are going to find fascinating, I say think of cinema as church and not a strip club, you know.
Cinema as church, not a strip club.
Not a strip club.
Okay, explain that.
If you think about church, those that know, you walk into this auditorium with strangers. Usually you have Holy Communion, so you'll have wine and whatever it is. There'll be like music before the main sermon, so there'll be worship and praise. You know, cinema is similar, right? You walk through this hall with the strangers. You get to the counter, you get popcorn and Coca-Cola. You know, it's like Holy Communion. And then you sit there, and before the main act comes, is trailers, it's commercials to warm you up. You know?
Right.
And then when the actual movie starts to play, there's this beam of light that shoots from the sky and it hits the screen.
That's right.
And you hope from that movie there's some level of enlightenment. You can learn something about yourself. You can cry. You can be happy. You can forgive yourself. And you walk out of there with something solid that will help you live your life in a better way. That's similar to church. You get there, you sit next to strangers, and then praise and worship, and then suddenly Muruti goes on stage to say something that you hope can illuminate you, can help you, and then you can go home with something special that can help you live a better life, right? And so for me, it's like, if you think of it that way, as a storyteller and as a writer, you're always seeking for that illumination. What is it in that story that I can do where an audience can walk out holding something dear, saying, oh, I watched this in this film and that changed my life. But if you go to a strip club, what happens? Like, I'm not saying you go to a strip club, but you know what I mean. I'm asking. You know, when you
Utoma go garage.
And then how can a strip club buy the drinks?
Break this 100 to pay 10 rand.
Exactly. So instead of offering basket, you're making it rain, you know?
Yes.
And then you sit with other strangers, you know? And then the light does illuminate, but illuminates on this lady on the pole, you know? And for a moment, perhaps it's fun and enjoyable, but when you leave empty, you know?
True.
You don't look back and say, you know what? At that strip club, I realized
I had an epiphany.
And a lot of movies feel like that. You watch it, you enjoy it in the moment. The credits happen and you go, okay,
I can think of a few.
You know, I don't know what the point was, but
I even sometimes tweet, I need my 1.5 hour back.
Exactly. And that's usually after a strip club also. and so for me, that's the other lesson, which treats cinema
movie houses. If you I think fire your advertising agencies, this part here I'm gonna cut for you. I'll play it on repeat. You are more than welcome to use it so that you can bring people into the cinema to watch movies.
Cinema is church, not a strip club.
Yeah. That's a tagline right there.
And so for me, I guess that's why I always emphasize for young people to find the story and to dig deep and listen to that inner voice. Because in that inner voice, the stories that are going to come to you are the stories that are going to feed people, illuminate, reveal stuff, and give them something of significance. Otherwise, it's just popcorns and making it rain and entertainment for now, and then we want our money back afterwards.
You are at the Saftas. Dade Jeremy Fuking says, thank you for honoring talent. Can we keep it like that? And he spoke about the new, bringing people who are not trained to be in front of the camera. It's a sign of the times because you need people who will immediately bring eyes, influencers and so on. What's your take on that?
You mentioned that Jeremy Mofokeng Wamachet.
Yes.
Actually, Ntate Jeremy Mofokeng wrote my first recommendation letter to film school. This is in 2003.
Yes.
Him and Mama Konichume, may she rest in peace.
Yes.
The two letters that made the film school accept me were from these two legends of the game. They saw something in me at the time that I probably didn't even see in myself. And I'm here because, you know, they believed, they had faith. I don't care who tells stories. To be quite honest.
Okay.
It's that's why I keep saying it's like this endeavor that we're doing. It's so hard. It's so difficult, but it's a calling, right?
Yeah.
So I don't care if you're an influencer or what. I don't care, right? If you feel that burning sensation to join us, as an actor, as a boom swing, I don't care. Pick up your phone and shoot and tell stories. We need more, right? And so for me, it's okay. I guess if you think of it as like a zero-sum game. Yeah. If Tebogo has this place, I don't have it. That's the terrible way to look at it. I look at it as a river. A river flows. If I catch this fish and the guy next to me didn't catch it, they're gonna catch the next one. So you need to channel that energy of this industry is a river. If there's an influencer, a model who's got this role, don't say you didn't get it because Mang with followers got it. Say that wasn't mine. The next fish is coming and I'm gonna grab it. Anybody that contributes to this beautiful endeavor of filmmaking and storytelling, anybody that can contribute, everybody's welcome. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a river. If you don't catch this fish, you'll catch the next one.
And like Vi. Sharp, Joe.
Okay, sharp.
Yeah, sharp.
Mari, dlale pina tse 2. Ara dlala tse 10.
Membra.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, no wonder. Hana space for China. Dimana on room divider, membra. Yeah, Niaga we reg. Those awards, they need to be sitting there. Man, we need a part 2, part 3, part 4.
Salute.
This was just for us to say, we see you. Thank you for telling our stories and telling it in such a way that we are proud to carry it anywhere in the world. The awards, I'm glad they became that illuminating light, the spotlight on you, your people, your ancestry. And not only that, as an affirmation of you choosing this path. We celebrate you and we want to say, dude, whatever you do, we don't care or it's COVID. Keep doing what you're doing, man, and keep shining, my brother.
Thank you for having me, my brother. I really appreciate it. And again, Saturday, Year 2, Heritage Hall, 10:30, 10 o'clock. And I'm gonna tell more of these stories. And please come, bring a toy. Because I'm raising toys for this squatter camp next
Is that the entry fee?
Yeah, it's a toy. So bring a toy and then December Christmas.
Yeah.
And just go drop these toys at this village called Madlachi village next to where I live.
But those who can't make it, where can we drop off? Because I want to drop off a few toys, please.
Oh yeah, I think Lily will. So if you go into my Instagram, Tebogo Malope,
yes,
and we'll communicate where we can do that.
Yeah. Please, can it be a new toy? Can we put pride into this thing?
And somebody asked, is it adult toys or?
I am, man.
No, it needs to be baby toys.